Hey guys, welcome back. It's your brother in Christ, Weston. Thanks for joining me today. So today's article comes out of End Times Headlines. Let's get into it. Okay, so got my wife with me and my son as well. So if you guys see him walking in the background or anything like that, say hello. Um, so this one is I actually proofread this article because we talk about this a lot, but I wanted to share it because I just don't know. I want to see what your thoughts are on it. I have a mixed amount of emotions on it. It says this. It says war, pestilence, and famine set to grip the final months of 2022. Enjoy this summer while you can, because global events will soon escalate to an even more alarming level. Needless to say, if 2022 ended right now, it would be remembered for a lot of really bad things. That's true. Prior to this year, we didn't have a war in Ukraine. Nobody was talking about the monkey. I'm not going to say it just for just trying to play it safe, because Lord knows that'll probably get me flagged. Inflation was relatively minor concern. Food riots weren't erupting in poor countries, and we weren't facing the prospect of a very painful recession. So much has happened in the last 6 months, but I have a feeling that the next 6 months are going to be even crazier. And we have said that like exclusively on here. I've told you time and time again, video after video, that I fully believe that it's only going to get worse and worse and worse. And you guys have mentioned to it in the comments. Some people thinking that we're in the tribulation. Some people think that we're not. It's all welcome here. It's totally fine. You already know where I stand at. I'm a pre-tribulationist. I don't believe the bride of Christ is here, but it does not take away from the fact that we will experience hard times. And by hard times, I don't get to objectively call what hard times are. I think that they are all being shaped and formed for a new world order, a one world government, a one world ruler, a one world currency, and a progressive way of leaning towards that. So the world will hate Christ, right? Ultimately. So says here, how could that be possible? Well, how about another major war? On Thursday, Yair Lapid and Joe Biden signed a joint pledge that expressed their shared intention to do whatever necessary to keep Iran from getting nuclear weapons. I actually have another article on that from End Times Headlines. It says Iran claims that they are now capable of building a nuclear bomb. And so that would insinuate that they didn't have capabilities, and now they do. Of course, U.S. officials have been saying similar things in a long time, but now the IAEA has officially announced that Iran possesses enough fissile material to construct a nuclear bomb. And so the time to put up or shut up is here. Israel has been practicing for a strike on Iran. And I'm sure Lapid and Biden extensively discussed the possibility of such a strike happening in months ahead. When that day finally arrives, will it inevitably hit back really hard? Then a conflict will start that will be really difficult to stop. Meanwhile, U.S. relations with China continue to go downhill very quickly. Of course, I told you this last year. And I have multiple videos on this where it was like a two-pronged attack, right? Where Russia was infringing upon Ukraine. Then you had China backing Russia, and then China makes these subtle hints, these subtle jabs or notions to Taiwan that, the same thing Russia was saying, that Taiwan belongs to China. And so what do you think they're going to do? And then we talked about how the U.S. is spending billions and billions of dollars, giving so much of our ammo reserves, all of that over to this other nation to help defend them as if it's some kind of proxy war. And what do we have left here? We'll have nothing. We will be destroyed. And I've mentioned this before, that I don't know where the U.S. is at in the end times. I have no idea. I don't know if we're here and somehow we make it and we can't help anybody because we're fighting each other, our own civil war. We're a part of the beast system, one of the 10 kings. We operate that way. We're Babylon, or we are utterly destroyed. And there could be the part where we actually try to help Israel. I have no idea. But everything points me in the direction of what's happening right now today, since I cannot find, and I can only throw the U.S. on top of so-called scriptures about maybe the young lions, but that would mean that they're fighting against the Antichrist, or they are the merchants in Revelation 17, which mourn, and so they are part of Mystery Babylon. So who knows? If you guys know, have a better way of of looking at that, let me know. Where did I end off at? It says, then the Biden administration reminded China on Tuesday that the U.S. will intervene to defend the Philippines if Manila's vessels come under attack in South China Sea. Secretary of State Antony Blinken made the warning in a statement on the anniversary of the International Tribunal ruling that sided with the Philippines against China in a territorial dispute in the South China Sea. And then on Wednesday, a U.S. Navy destroyer sailed into disputed waters near the Paracel Islands. China is fuming after the U.S. Navy on Wednesday sailed a destroyer near the China-controlled Paracel Islands in the South China Sea. The Navy's 7th Fleet said that the guided missile destroyer USS Binfold was in the region and passed near the disputed island chain to uphold the rights and freedom and lawful uses of the sea. China's Southern Theater Command, however, said it closely monitored American vessel as it had illegally entered China's territorial waters, and the PLA military said it drove the warship away. I think the war in the Middle East is coming first, but as I've been warning for a long time, we will eventually have a war with China too. Man, that makes total sense. At the same time, on another note, the global monkey, this guy, right? Outbreak continues to get even worse. I have another article on that. I may not even cover it in this. I was going to cover 2 articles, but it may just talk about it more here. The outbreak continues to get even worse and now has spread to 75 different countries, and the total number of cases have risen to 11,166. I have really been hoping that this doesn't become a full-blown global blank emic, saying that out loud for anybody who ever watches this, to make sure that certain words I say are heard by YouTube and aren't misinterpreted. So, because Lord knows I will get a strike, like I already have 2. And yeah, so then if I get another one, I'll be out for a week. But if I get 3 of them in a row, then I'm actually out. Like, they have to be back to back within their, once you get one, then you get another, then you get another in the span of like a month or something like that, then you're done. Your channel's gone. So the same rules don't apply to bigger channels, unfortunately. I don't know why. Let's see. I've really been hoping this doesn't become a full-blown global blank emic, but the numbers continue to rise at an exponential rate. At the same time, health authorities are telling us that the worst version of the C word is here. And the number of cases in the U.S. is really starting to spike once again. You already know where I stand on this. We talk about this a lot, but I think this is just a bunch of fear mongering. That's why when I skimmed through this and saw I did a little bit of proofreading on it, I saw this, and I think this is a terrible narrative, and I think honestly it's a bunch of BS. Daily C word inhabitations and deaths are beginning to surge in the U.S. after a month of little movement, signaling that a summer surge fueled by, I don't even know the new version, by the Bravo Alpha.5 version could now be underway. I didn't even know that was the name, because it's oh goodness, it's a flu. That's all it is. America's averaging 649 daily deaths from the C word, a 97% increase over the past week, and its largest 7-day increase in deaths since early December. Recorded inhabitations have made a leap as well to 136,903 per day. It is 24% increase over 7 days and the largest daily case average since February, when America was coming down off the largest C word surge of the blank emic. It has become clear that the C word isn't going away. We knew that. It was never going to go away. That's the whole thing. It was never going to go away. These were like a Ponzi scheme, and you just put something in your body, and the ramifications of what you've done, and you will continue to do. Remember, I have a video on this where it was like, it's like if I'm not lazy enough, I'll find the picture of it, but it's like 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. How many more until you stop, until you say no? That it'll just continue to be booster after booster after booster after this, after the next one, here it comes. And how does that just continue to happen so fast, back to back, over a certain year span at the start of 2020, and then just somehow never stops? It'll be like this way forever. But in 2019, it just, and even before then, it had viral things that have happened, that have gone inside people. It never happened like this, right? But of course, you'll have somebody in the comments say, well, it did. It finally happened, and now you need to X, Y, and Z. The best thing I can tell you is it's definitely not for me. So it says here, It has become clear it's not going away. Of course, now it is obvious that it says right here, health officials assured us that if we just did what they instructed us to do, that we would eventually be able to put this blank behind us. That was the lie. The health officials, people wearing white coats, I say it all the time. It seems like people who are wearing white coats can just say whatever they want and everybody will just fall in line. And if you don't think for yourself, or somehow you make an observation, or you see a red flag, or you mention something, then you are somehow a conspiracy theorist or a liar, or you are a domestic terrorist, or whatever. You insert derogatory name here, ruin your whole entire life because you don't agree with the main narrative or the culture. And you'll be canceled. And I wouldn't be surprised if you could never get another job again. No joke. That's just where our society's headed. It says, of course, now it is obvious that was not true at all, which is true. All their efforts to end this global blank have failed. And now we have a global nightmare on our hands. And it's not because the nightmare was always supposed to be a nightmare. It was never like, if we had just listened, this wouldn't have happened. That's to make you feel bad. That's to try to take the emphasis or the responsibility or the blame on the people who actually implemented this. It was all a lie. And now it was made to be a nightmare. It was on purpose. We say this all the time. So many people have already died during the blank-emic, and many more are going to die in the months ahead. And I would believe that. I believe that they're not going to die from just having the C word. They're going to die from taking this guy. Speaking of death, the global famine that we were warned about, and that's going to be even worse. I think that's going to be even far worse. Well, who knows? I think it's just going to add to it, right? That we warned about is already here. According to the head of the UN World Program, the number of acutely hungry people is now at an all-time high. The spike in food and fuel fertilizer prices sparked by the war in Ukraine is threatening to push countries around the world into a famine, bringing global destabilization, starvation, and mass migration to an unprecedented scale, a top UN official warned on Wednesday. David Beasley, head of the UN World Food Program, said its latest analysis shows that a record 345 million acutely hungry people are marching to the brink of starvation, a 25% increase from 276 million at the start of 2022, before Russia invaded Ukraine on February 24th. The number stood at 135 million before the C word came into play in early 2020. We're now seeing an alarming number of people starve to death in some parts of Eastern Africa. Sadly, this even includes very young children. Ijabu Hassan has had no chance to grieve the deaths of her children. She had to focus on keeping others alive. Her 4-year-old and 5-year-old died from malnutrition in their inland town of Burhakaba, victims of a record-high drought that had propelled Somalia to the brink of famine. Faced with starvation, Hassan took her remaining 8 children and began the 15-day trek to reach the capital, Mogadishu. And towards the end of their journey, her 2-year-old daughter collapsed and died. They buried her along the way. And this is, I've said this before. And it's my prayer that there's, when I mention about like any kind of famine or anything like that, it's never to scare you. It's never to say that the Lord's not going to provide, because that's not the case. It's to be wise, because there are wicked things at play. And you know what? Last thing I want is my wife or my son to say they can't eat. Like I can eat a ton, and I can also not eat a ton. But what really crushed me as a father or a husband is to, and I've said it here plenty of times, is to that they couldn't eat. Like to watch a child say like, "Daddy, I'm hungry," and I can't feed him anything. I don't have anything for him. And what is it? And I've asked for prayer for that, not only just for my family, but many families. Because that's the last thing I want. I know the Lord will provide. I don't get to decide how he provides, though. I don't get to do it. But what I do get to see is things that are coming, and looking at his provision today to make necessary moves that will enable my family to be able to have what they need, whatever he's provided today, and then whatever we cannot provide for ourselves in terms of like what the Lord has already given us. And it's all his provision in the first place. That he provides supernaturally. He's provided the means, the finances, the wisdom, the articles, the news. He's doing all that. He's working all of that for our good, to say, hey, look, here comes a flood. Insert natural disaster or supernatural disaster or man-made disaster here. And he warns you. And so you can be prepared. And knowing that he's enabling you to be prepared, and then providing the means to be prepared. On top of that, if a rocket comes and blows up my house and hits all my reserves, well, then I'm gonna have to I have to depend on the Lord supernaturally as much as I did before. It's just that all those things that He provided for are gone, and more is just gonna have to show up. And that's all I can do. That's not a lack of wisdom. That's not a poverty mindset. That is being wise. That is, hey, my first duty as a father or husband is to take care of my family. And I would say the same thing for everyone. This is not just us. You can the articles that we read clearly talk about other countries, and America, once again, I say it all the time, and I say all the time, that America is like gives you a bulletproof mindset that it just can't happen here. I am literally not, I wouldn't even call myself a victim to it. I'm just like, I hear it in my head, like, well, it's America. We'll figure out a way. But I don't run America. I don't run anything like that. And we see other nations who are, this woman who has, I don't know what, she had 12 children, 11 children, 3 of them, they died and she had to bury them. And she has 8 children left, and they're headed to a capital where I'm sure there are many other children and families who are doing the exact same thing. And this is all just pointing to the fact that these things are happening. Like, this is real. Like, you can live in a bubble and you don't have to read the news. You don't have to stay up with anything like that. You don't have to read your Bible. You can just read all the good parts about the Bible. But ultimately, there is a day in time where these things are coming to pass. And if you just try to live and act like nothing's happening, it's foolish. It is foolish. What does scripture say? My people perish for a lack of knowledge, right? And the reason we do that, and we do it all the time, is because we just put our heads in the sand. And I could easily do that, but that's not the point of this channel. That's not the point of going over these articles. They are simply here to encourage you to say, hey, there's something coming. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I know the Lord is going to supernaturally provide for His bride no matter what. That is a guarantee. But while He's doing that, look at His provision today. Make necessary changes and moves for food, for water, for shelter, just things like that. And then if you can start buying stuff, buy stuff, whatever that is, some prep stuff or anything like that. Like I said, it may not be for you. You may get raptured, and it may be for the people who come to Christ, and it's all sitting there waiting for them. And then you'll realize, like, wow, how good is the Lord, because He was providing for people who are coming after us. And what an honor and a privilege it is to be able to do that and just be a part of that and not even realize it. But anyways, that's the video, guys. Let me know what y'all think. There's a lot here and a lot to digest. So let me know what you think about it in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.